it. Hey guys, welcome to day number 12 of the 21 days of prayer for your business. I'm so glad you're here. You keep coming back. I say it every day. I'm so proud of you. Well, what a journey it has been. 12 days, we've been digging in, we have been reading, we have been studying, we have been memorizing scripture, meditating on scripture, we have been doing homework, right? You've been doing the homework. Please tell me you have. It's not meant to just read the words, listen to these videos, but we want you to apply it to your life. So please raise your hand. Tell me you're doing your homework. Well, today is going to rock your world, I hope, because as always, I think it is one of the best topics of the 21 days. Every day, I think, is the best topic. And so it is all about building community. But you know the drill, you know the routine. Let me fix my little broken tripod here. You know the drill, you know the routine. We are going to do a little bit of housekeeping before we get started. So first things first, today we are going to be discussing stuff inside this book, 21 Days of Prayer for Your Business. If you don't have the book, that is absolutely, completely fine. We did this study back last year and we did not have the book, and everybody watched through it and was hopefully able to get something out of it. So if you don't have the book, please don't let that be an excuse to keep on keeping on and watching all the videos. Now, if you're just so happen to have found this video, day number 12, and you've not watched all the other ones, 1 through 11, please look them up on YouTube and watch them. It's so amazing how they progress. Day after day, they kind of build upon each other, and we're going to review that really quick. I want to give you a little snippet of what we've discussed from the beginning. Day 1, we talked about giving God control. Really, on this journey of success in life and business, we want Him to have control. Day number 2, we're trying to find a little bit of freedom from our past. Anybody got a past out there? You got a past? Ugh. Well, there's probably hurts. There's probably mistakes. There could be a little bit of failures, unless, you're one of the only ones out there that's never dealt with stuff like that. This is a day that we're really starting to dig in and find freedom from our past. Day number 3, we discussed all of the ways that you are uniquely made. And whether you believe it or not, you are. And you are designed for a particular reason and purpose. Day number 4, we called a vision. Yep, we did. We may not see the end picture of where we are to be at down the road, but we understood that vision is letting the Lord be a lamp unto our feet and a light into our path and really guide us each step of the way. So that was day number 4. Day number 5, we talked about how you can be intentional. Now it's time, as we start understanding these things and we start having awareness of it, now let's begin to be intentional. And you know what? Let's dive in and look at a little bit of our values. What are those things that are so important? Because I would dare to say half the time when you feel out of balance and kind of off whack a little bit, it is because your values are not getting into your day. And there's not this magic list of them. It's what's important to you. It's your non-negotiables, and those need to be getting in your everyday life and in your business if you want to find contentment there. So that was day number 5. Day number 6, we discussed the importance of always growing. You don't just arrive, you need to always be growing. After that, we discussed day number 7, which was all about not giving up. The day you give up is the day you give up. Don't do it. Don't throw in the towel. That was day number 7. Day number 8, I'm getting nervous that I'm going to forget it, but I've got it. Day number 8 was living a life of worship. Whenever we look at our unique design and our gifts and our talents and our passions and those values, and we see how the Lord created us, and we understand that when we use those, when we use our unique design for the benefit of others, that really is living out a life of worship. We are honoring God with what He designed us to be. So that's day number 8. Day number 9, living a life of excellence. Don't let it freak you out. It's not as scary as it seems. Make sure you go check it out if you haven't. But that day, we are just talking about really excellence is using your unique design, your gifts and talents with the tools and resources, I got a hair in my mouth, that you currently have on hand. And that is living a life of excellence. There's a very fine line between that and what we talked about on the next day, which is, that would be day 10, is that perfectionism weighs you down. There's a fine line. And a lot of times people think, maybe I'm not a perfectionist, but I double dog dare you to watch that day and see if any of those things hit home in your life. That led to yesterday, which was day number 11, and it was creative problem solving. Yes, I did just have to flip and make sure that I was correct on that. It's kind of the short-term memory that gets me every time. So anyway, creative problem solving. Now, that was a doozy of a day, and let me tell you, if you haven't watched the video, you probably need to. And well, before I dive into that, let me say, creative problem solving outside of giving God control has been one of the biggest things that we found success in our business, was by looking at needs, and these are the issues, and let's fill them, let's fix them. And that obstacles will then help you find opportunities, and that's when you begin to find success. Now, if you watch that day, I have shared it on social media, and I've also shared it in the Facebook group, but I had this little saying that I said, that I've said like my whole life, and I had absolutely no clue that it could mean something kind of naughty or bad. And oh my goodness, can I just say, I was completely like mortified. Like, what? I just said something so I am naive. I just need to let you guys know I am little Miss Naive Girl, and these kind of things happen to me often because my mind just doesn't go places. And so I would like to apologize if you haven't watched it, and I will put you in the know. But the saying, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, I said it twice yesterday, and apparently it can mean something not nice. And so, I'm a little embarrassed, but I apologize. If you don't know what it is, just be glad you don't know what it is. But it's not a nice little rhyming saying. I'm so sorry. I can't believe I did that. Okay, let's move on. What day are we on? We are on day number 12. Building a community. Building a community. It is so important to build a community. If you've got your book, turn to page 86, and that is where we are going to begin today. All right? If you haven't got your book, go grab a notebook. If you haven't got this book, go grab a notebook and a pen, because I will ask some questions, and I will kind of get nosy and get all up in your business, and I want you to apply it to your life, what we discuss. All right? So grab a notebook and pen, put this on pause, or if you've got your book, pull your book out. Okay? Day number 12, building a community. Let's look what the Bible says in Hebrews 10, 24 through 25. And let us consider how we may spur one another on towards love and good deeds, not giving up meeting together, as some are in the habit of doing, but encouraging one another, and all the more as you see the day approaching. That is an amazing verse. Again, when we talk about vision and when we talk about letting the Lord be a lamp unto our feet and a light unto our path, and we look at his word and we go to his word and we apply it to our life, this verse is amazing. Again, Hebrews 10, 24 through 25, it says, and let us consider how we may spur one another on towards love and good deeds, not giving up meeting together, as some are in the habit of doing, but encouraging one another, and all the more as you see the day approaching. I want to go on down and keep reading this next little bit, because it's very interesting. As I was reading over it this morning, I've told you guys I'm walking through this with you. Even though I wrote the book, when I wrote the book, I felt like every day was really applying to things. I don't feel like I have these topics completely mastered. But this morning I woke up and I was going through it, because I really want to be having the same experience you're having every single day of walking through this process. And I later say right up underneath that verse, Do not give up meeting together. Well, that seems pretty straightforward to me. How about you? We are better together. And I'm sure you have heard that saying before. It's so true. Listen to this. Doing life with others and not alone brings great rewards. When we meet together and do life together, we can spur one another on towards love and good deeds. We can bring encouragement to one another because being alone is, well, it's very lonely. When I was reading that, I kind of giggled because I say in there, doing life together. What does that mean? Like we're doing life together. I say it all the time. I'm so thankful we get to do life together. That's just a common saying in our household and something that we say. And it wasn't long ago that I ran across a comment that somebody had made, was that they were just like, oh my gosh, it so gets on my nerves when people say that we're doing life together. And immediately I'm like, oh my gosh, I say that all the time. And immediately my mind went to when I said those very words out of my mouth. Oh my gosh, like that is so annoying. And let me tell you the state that I was in at that time. I was highly lonely and highly insecure. I was walking through that period of time as a nurse, and I was going in and I was doing my work, and I had friendships. I had, friends there, but nothing really deep friendships there. And my husband was on staff at church, and I remember following different people on social media, staff wives and other pastors. My husband wasn't a pastor on staff. He worked in the accounting and then the IT department. But I remember watching the other pastors' wives and the other staff wives on social media, and a lot of them had formed these really good friendships. And I remember seeing their things of saying, that exact same thing. I'm so thankful, like a cute picture with them. So thankful we get to do life together. Hashtag covenant friendships. And I would be like, oh my gosh, like, please, that is so annoying. So glad to be doing life together. Like, I would totally be rolling my eyes and mocking it. But let me tell you where that deep-rooted insecurity was coming from. I was not developing those friendships myself. I'm sorry, I have to keep moving the thing. I was avoiding deep friendships because I had been hurt in the past, okay? When we lost everything with the store, I told it early in our days together, I also lost some friendships in the midst of that. We sold our business, and some of the designers and some of the girls that stayed on, I've kept great relationships with. Actually, Vanessa and Eric Hudson. Vanessa came from that time, so I still had some great friendships. But through that, I also had some relationships that kind of went south, and it hurt me very, very, very deeply. I mean, I'm talking, I was probably very far from perfect, and we're going to talk about conflict tomorrow. But I was hurt. I felt abandoned, rejected. I felt that anything to that point I had done wasn't of value. I felt that I failed in that department. And a lot of people who are perfectionists, that it kind of gets to them and it gets in them. And so why do this whole friend thing again? Why? And I'd even looked at my husband during that time frame, where I was rolling my eyes at the other people who had found freedom and was developing friendships and was allowing themselves to get close to others. I saw it and I kind of mocked it, like, oh, geez, whatever. Out of my own insecurities, I actually deep down wished that I could let go and have those kind of friendships again. So I was lonely. I was at this place that I was letting my past dictate my future. I was letting my past hurts get from my mind into my heart and really keep me from moving forward. That's the reason why it's so important to build on these days. And it's also a process. finding freedom may not just happen like that. It's a process. And it's so important, because if you can't begin to understand the things that you need to find freedom from and really dig in and acknowledge those hurts, that's the reason why this homework is so important. Because if you've got those deep hurts and you've got those things that are buried so deep inside of you, it really is keeping you from the abundant life that Christ Jesus has set out before you. You know, it sounds kind of hokey sometimes when you read it in the Bible and you think, oh yeah, what is this? It is the truth. Do you understand how my past was keeping me from something in the future? You know, being alone, being by yourself is a very, very, very extremely dangerous place. I kind of try to make a funny story a serious story, but turning it into a little bit of a funny story in the book. But I discuss with you, if you think about the African savannah, you've seen the shows on Animal Planet or on whatever shows, National Geographic, where there's this savannah and then you have got these gazelles and they are just kind of running at a little slow pace, you know, and they're running in a little group, and here they are bouncing, you know, bouncing, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, comes this lion. And the lion is like, game on, I need me some food, right? And that lion starts chasing those gazelles. And the gazelles are running, and they're running, but all of a sudden, there's this little gazelle over here that's a little lonely. He is not in the safety of the group. I don't know, for whatever reason. Maybe he's a little distracted. Maybe he got over there and saw something that caught his eye and he left the safety of his group. I don't know. Maybe he was having a terrible, no good, sorry day, and some of those gazelles made him mad, and he was like, I am not going to hang with you guys. You hurt my feelings. I'm over here by myself. It's not a good place for him to be. Oh no. Which one do you think the lion is going to go after? He's going to go after the easiest target. I mean, right? You've seen it. And your adrenaline's going, you're watching it, and you're like, oh no, you needed to be with the group. Oh, because the one's in the group. It's always the one that gets outside the safety of the group that the lion goes after. And I'm telling you, it's like that in our own lives. That was how it was with me. If you're easily picked off if you never get in the safety of this group. We are better together. We really do need each other. We really do need this community that spurs one another along in good deeds and action, in encouragement. You know, you remember my story of how that went down. Right? Do you remember the story of how that fateful day on February 15th, where I had at a crossroads, do I throw in the towel or do I stick with this? Well, let me tell you my story and how it played out. Let me give you a little bit more details of this backstory. You know, Kelly Wright, in October, I quit work in August of 2012 as a nurse. Remember, we had lost everything from 2008. In 2008 to 2012, I worked as a nurse, was really not wanting to get close to people. I'd looked Jeremiah in the eyes and told him, I will never, ever in my whole entire life be friends with another girl. I'm telling you, you are my friend. You're my best friend. And I don't want to be friends with anybody else but you. Are you okay with that? And he was like, okay, yeah, you're kind of freaking me out a little bit. It's the truth. I mean, girls, we can be a little mean sometimes, right? And so I was like, me and you, we're friends to the end, buddy, and nobody else am I going to be friends with. So I put myself in this little cocoon for 4 years, quit work as a nurse in August, and in October of 2012, headed to a women's conference at our church. And let me tell you, I was going to sit with somebody that I worked with, that I went to school with and actually worked with. But again, we weren't like just knew each other's deepest, darkest secrets. We were friends, probably even surface level friends. No deep, meaningful here relationships. You get the picture. And Kelly Wright, out of nowhere, I was on the interstate. I think I've shared the story before. She gives me a call. And she says, hey, I heard you're going. Our daughters were friends with each other. I'd actually been her nurse before. And so we knew of each other. She calls me and she says, listen, I heard you're going to the women's conference. Do you want to sit together? And I'm like, sure, yeah, let's do it. Let's sit together. So we sit together at this women's conference, and one thing leads to another, and we start, picking up some conversations here, and then it goes like this. Oh, well, what you doing for lunch? You want to go grab some lunch? Yeah, let's grab some lunch. Oh, well, we start talking about something, and then it's like, well, hey, why don't we go grab dinner after this? Okay, yeah, Jeremiah's out of town. Let's go do it. Let's go grab some dinner. So we start interacting with each other, and that is the conference. Remember when I told you about the Victor's Crown song by Darlene Check, and I was sitting there and I was like, Lord, I'm done. Like, I really am done. I'm really done with these past hurts. I've handed them over to you before, but I've picked them right back up. And really, I'm done. I want freedom from it. I don't want to live like that anymore, right? You remember the story. Right after that, I decided to be intentional. So it's not just a prayer now. It's not just a Lord, here you go. Now I need to put actions to my words, to my prayers. And this is what it looks like. Kelly, why don't we start meeting once a week? Like, I don't know if you think that's weird, but I don't really have a lot of close friendships right now. And I think it would be good. I think it would be good for us just to meet once a week. And actually, the Lord, I'm telling you, just dropped two people's names in my head. Nobody knew each other. It was Natalie Elrod. If the truth be told, we went to school together. We had not really seen each other probably in 20-something years, maybe off and on. We weren't even really close friends in school. We knew each other. We sat near each other in some classes, but we were never very close friends. Anna White's name just came into my mind. We had went to school together in Illinois, and she had moved to Birmingham, and we really hadn't seen each other in a crazy long time. And so I was like, you know what? I know these other two girls. Would you mind if I asked them if they could start meeting with us? And she's like, oh no, that's fine. So then I go to Natalie and I say, hey, listen, I've got these two girls, and I know it may seem crazy, but why don't we start meeting once a week? Oh, Monique, that's a great idea. Let's do it. Because I've really made it a point not to make deep, close friends, and I really think I need them. And she says, you know what? I'm the same way. Actually, it's just kind of me and Andy here, and I'm game for it. Say the same thing to Anna. You know what? I'd love to do that. So we start meeting once a week at Barnes & Noble, and we just talk about nothing major, just life. We just talk about life, and our kids go sit at another little table and talk, and we just spent time together. And then we started messaging each other and saying, oh, well, what time are we going to meet? Or then we would start talking about something that we discussed. And I said, why don't we start a little Facebook group? Just the four of us. We called ourselves the Country Girls. Don't ask. We're random. And we just, us four in the group, if we talked about something or an article, we would share with each other, and we just built a little community. A little community. Intentional, prayed. Here, Lord, I hand it over. Here, Lord, I would love to start now being intentional and walking this out. So I trust you. I trust you. I'd love to start building these friendships. So we start building this little community of four. And the story, I told it to you on day 7, February 15th, when it was one of my hardest days ever, and I was really wanting to throw in the towel. Because we had developed this friendship, and because we had started walking out this journey together, that then turned into, because we were meeting, that was before this new business venture came about. We were all meeting together during that beginning stages of the business venture. So now we were all in it together. We knew each other's heart with it. So now on that day in February, when it was very hard, it was so easy to go to them and say, this is my hard moment. This is where I'm wanting to throw in the towel. And because we had developed this community and this relationship, and really this love for each other, they were like, Monique, don't do it. I'm telling you, I have no clue what decision I would have made. Honestly, Kelly is the one who introduced me to this company. So really, had the ball never even got started, had I never understood this is my issue, these are the things that from my past are holding me back, it was keeping me from community, okay? It's so important to find freedom. And in the process of that, Kelly introduces me to a company. We begin all of this friendship. Now we begin this business venture together. And then at the moment where it's my hardest moment, where I want to throw in the towel, they say, don't do it. I don't even know if I would be sitting here right now talking to you. Pretty positive not, because I would have never met Kelly, who would have never introduced me to this company. But do you understand? Community is important. Now, does that mean that somewhere along the last 4 years, I've never been like, oh my gosh, wow, okay, yikes, that hurts. Oh, wow, oh, that digs up some fresh wounds from the past, or some deep wounds from the past? Yeah, I've had moments along the way that I was like, oh, geez, seriously, people. Like, why do I have to deal with people? You know, man, why can't people give a little grace? Man, why can't I give a little grace with others? You know, we're going to talk about that more tomorrow. But yes, there have been moments in time where I've still ran across, and probably some things that I was very fearful, because you say, Monique, well, if I break out of this and I form friendships and I build community, what if I get hurt again? You probably are. I've had my feelings hurt along the way since I handed it over to God. But you know what? That kind of stuff doesn't define me. And I understand how it's got to really, reminds me how important it is to give grace. And again, we're going to talk about that tomorrow, but to keep moving forward. Community is so important, guys. Building a group of, whether it's 1, 2, it doesn't even have to be this massive group of friends. Really, you just need a few friends that are going to keep you on the right path, and that you are going to help keep them on the right path. That's what community does. You know, you think back in the day when people used to go to each other's houses, right? I saw a comedian recently talk about this, and I was like, hello, this is the exact truth. In our house, like back in the day, I really don't remember this too much, because pretty much my whole life it's been the other way. But you know, you would hear people would go over to each other's houses and they would spend time together, and women would go over and help each other, and they would talk to each other, and they would communicate. It was a little community, you know. But now we get in our homes and we're like, we don't want nobody coming. Like the doorbell rings and you're like, oh, I'm not getting up off the couch to answer that, because I don't want anybody at my house right now. I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's like life looks different than what it did many, many years ago. The community of people, the bonds that people make, the friendships. And so I just want to encourage you, figure out a way in your life and in your business that you can embrace community. You know, for us, I told you we started that Facebook group whenever we were having to go to that wedding and people were asking questions. That creative problem solving then built this community. And can I tell you, I believe that was a huge, massive part of our success, because people loved feeling like they belonged and they were a part of something. They wanted to feel like they were a part of something bigger than themselves. You know, that's what our pastor says at our church, is that we've got this dream team, and really what it is people who volunteer and do things around the church, and whether it's small group leaders or the parking team, but everybody loves being part of a community. They do. They want to be a part of something bigger themselves. So I challenge you not only to figure out how you can build a small community of friends, how can you take something in your business, in your career, whatever it is, and develop this group of people that can be there for each other, that can encourage each other and spur them along for good deeds. You know, it's not just for you. It's for the benefit of others as well, this community. It's not just for you. It wasn't just for me that fateful day, of them helping me. It's also being an encouragement to others and encouraging others along the way. Let me give you a story that I share in this book that, man, I'm talking, when I watched this video, I sat and ugly face cried. When I watched it, because it was an example. When I was writing this part of the book, I was like, oh my gosh, this is an example of how the good deeds of others spur you along and encourage you to embrace good deeds as well. When you're in a community, you're in a group of people, and you can watch and you can see what they're doing, and their acts and their words and their love can encourage you to embrace those same good deeds in your life. Let me give you a visual example. I watched recently this video of this news story of an amazing, good, heroic act of kindness that this teenage boy did at a football game. It was a football game, and it was halftime, and the cheerleaders were, I would say, probably a junior high, middle school to junior high cheerleaders, and they were all right there out on the field, and they had them all lined up, and they were doing something special that day, and I really don't know what it was, but it involved their fathers all being out there with them on the field. And there was one part of this show or whatever they were doing where the dads picked them up and put the daughters on their shoulders. It like chokes me up. And so they're all standing there, and they put them up on their shoulders, all except this one little girl who's standing off by her side. Her father had just left the day before, and he was serving overseas. And this little girl's father was not there. And as she stood there, she got caught up in the emotion, and she starts boo-hoo crying. And why, for the life of me, these people did not think this poor girl does not have her father here. Like, hello, somebody dropped the ball on that one. But this little girl is sitting there boo-hoo crying. And people are watching in the stands, and I guarantee you, there's probably a lot of people that it tore them up on the inside when they saw it. They saw it and they're thinking, oh my gosh, that's so horrible. But one teenage boy saw it and didn't just have the thought go through his heart or in his mind. He was intentional, and he did something about it. And it was instant. He jumps up out of the stands. He runs down the bleachers. He jumps the fence. He goes and he scoops that girl up. And he puts her on his shoulders. And that little girl was beaming from ear to ear. Can I tell you, that right there, the good deeds of that boy, like when I saw that, it did something to me. I was like, oh my goodness, how many people were standing watching in the bleachers and on the sidelines, but they did not go do anything. They sat and thought, well, surely somebody will do something. Oh, maybe somebody else will go run. They all had to be feeling it, but somebody got up and they went out there and they said, I'm going to scoop her up. And that just, when I saw that, I was like, Lord, I don't want to sit on the sidelines. Like, that encouraged me. Lord, I don't want to sit on the sidelines. I want to run out and I want to scoop people up, and I want to encourage them. I want to encourage them. And so I just want you to know, when you are in a community, when you are in this group of people, you are going to be able to see the good deeds of others, and their good deeds are going to spur you on, and they're going to encourage you to embrace those same things in your life. The last verse that I would like to share with you today is it is Proverbs 27:17. As iron sharpens iron, so a friend sharpens a friend. You know, friendships are so important. Not just community, but friendships. And my challenge for you, I don't know what your past looks like. I don't know what your hurts are. You know, I would dare to say the majority of everyone watching this has been hurt at some point in time with relationships, whether it was from family or whether it was friends or spouse or siblings or whatever. Relational issues are tough. They are one of the toughest, and we're going to talk about that a lot tomorrow in dealing with conflict. But please don't let it define your future. Don't let it keep you from the abundant life that Christ Jesus has set out for you. Community is important. You're better together. You sharpen one another. As you sharpen your friend sharpens you. All right? I'm going to give you a few walkout points, and then we're going to end in prayer, all right? On page 90, if you've got your book. Oh, hold on. Before we do that, let me tell you what the homework is. Some days I've not done that for you who have your notebook. The first thing I ask is share a time or two when a friend or a community helped you make it through a tough time. Have you ever had a tough time where a friend or a community helped you through it? Talk about it. Write it out. Can you think of times where you helped others when they were at their lowest? Share that as well. Also write, have you ever been inspired by the good deeds of others? If so, share a few ways below. Man, I'll tell you, you know one thing that inspires me is, have you ever seen the Oprah giving the favorite things away? I can't tell you, the first time I saw that, like we were flat broke, had no money, but when she was like, and you get one, and you get one, and you get one, and you get one, I was like, oh my gosh, how awesome would that be? So that's one of my dreams. Girl inspires me. Page 88, are you fearful of being part of a community? Have you ever been hurt before? If so, share your feelings. And then I say, I really do appreciate you being open and transparent. The next thing that I ask is, do you have a hobby you enjoy that has Facebook groups? That's a way you could join a community. Are you part of a church or a small group that meets weekly? Maybe you could work at building community there. Do you have friendships that could be made stronger? One way to build community is to start where you're at. Remember, I started where I was at, right there with Kelly, Anna, and Natalie. To begin building community, start with where you're at, okay? So ask a friend that you haven't seen in a while if they want to go have coffee or go have tea. And then the walk it out points, and then we're going to close in prayer. Walk it out. Call a friend and set up a lunch date. If you want bonus points, I know you do, find a friend you haven't connected with in a while. You know you want bonus points. Start a group text or a group message with a couple of your closest friends. Make it a point to stay connected throughout the week. I've got a group of about 20 girls right now that help me with a certain area of our business, and they have got this small group message that 20 of us are in, and can I tell you, those girls will blow up my phone. It is when they start getting, but I have watched a beautiful thing form over the last few months, is this close relationship with them. Many of them had never known each other until this time, and they have built some deep rooted friendships there. So do that. Get a group text message, put a few people in it, and just keep a conversation going throughout the week. Put your creative thinking cap on and find ways to build community in your business. This can be done in person or through social media. Start a Facebook group. Embrace what works best for you. And finally, memorize and meditate on Hebrews 10:24-25 and Proverbs 27:17. All right, guys, let's close in prayer. Lord, I thank you. I thank you for every single person who is watching this video today, whether it's live or whether it's on YouTube. And Lord, you know their hurts, you know their past, and you know those times that they've been hurt by relational issues. You know the times that they have felt abandoned, rejected, just not feeling like they're a part. They just want to belong. Lord, I pray that you help them to begin finding freedom and handing it over to you. Not allowing their past to dictate their future. Lord, I pray that today as they go about their day, you would begin to just drop ideas of names and people that they can connect with, that they can start building a community where they're at. We are better together. We need a community of friends. And Lord, I pray that we know that you are that friend that sticks closer than a brother, but I pray that you would start putting these people in their lives, giving them creative ideas of how they can build a community for others, that they can encourage one another and spur them along to good deeds. I thank you, Jesus. I thank you that these guys keep coming back day in and day out and digging in after you. They are seeking after you in every aspect of their lives. And I thank you that they're finding you, because when we seek, we find. I love you, Jesus. I love you so much. In your name, amen. All right, guys. Well, I am just so glad that you're not throwing in the towel. And tomorrow's topic is really going to be a doozy. It really is. We're talking about conflict. And can I tell you, man, oh man, it's going to be a fun one. And it's going to kind of dig in a little bit deeper to us. So don't let it scare you. Come back. Okay? I love you guys. And again, thank you for the messages that you've been receiving, that I've been receiving, that you've been sending. I've been reading them, and we are working out a system today to where we can be responding back and listing out a bunch of the questions that you've been sending in and asking that we can address all at one time. All right? So I love you. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Okay? See ya. Bye.